In the days of old, in the city of Kashi, its people followed a peculiar political philosophy, according to which any one of its citizens could become its ruler just for the asking. The tenure of the rulership was 5 years, but after the fifth year, the king would bound hand and foot, ferried across the river Ganga to the other bank, and thrown as a prey to the wild and hungry beasts infesting the forest on the other side of the river. So very few chose to become the king. The few that did choose were those that felt that at least for a brief period of 5 years they could live in regal splendor and be above want. When the term of the rulership came to a close, many a king wished he had not chosen the self ordained doom. For mercilessly and speedily was he dispatched by the ministers to the other bank of the river to face his doom. Not a single king had escaped this doom, so prudent people judiciously avoided this crown of thorns. It was the custom of the people to gather on the bank of the river Ganga every fifth year to see the king making his unceremonious exit. On such occasions, they invariably heard the piteous entreaties of the king for a lease of life, which as usual fell on deaf ears. But on one such occasion, they were surprised to see a king coming to the wharf maintaining his regal dignity with a silent composure of serenity. The king was followed by his retinue of ministers. The boat was ready for the king to embark. Looking at the ministers, the king said, "Well, am I not your king until I reach the other bank of the river?" They in unison said, "Yes, your majesty." The king said, "In that case, I feel I have not been honored properly. This boat is not rigged properly. It is unbecoming of a king to sit on the hard plank of the boat. So get me cushions and pillows and arrange them in such a way that I can have a comfortable trip to the other bank of the Ganga." The ministers carried out the king's command immediately. The king's seat was made comfortable. The king smiled at them and in a cheerful way took leave of them. The old ferryman who took charge of the king was surprised to see the king in good cheer. He thought that the king was perhaps unaware of his doom. Ferrying the boat slowly, eyeing the king askance, he asked the king how he could keep himself cool and collected in spite of the fact that soon he would meet his doom. On hearing this, the king laughed loudly and burst into song of joy. The ferryman was even more perplexed. He mused for a while and said to the king, "If your majesty is thinking of escaping from me, I have to say humbly but firmly that I, at all costs, will avert such a contingency. I have to take all precautions, so permit me, your majesty, to bind you to your seat." The king again laughed, but permitted himself to be bound to the seat. The boat had sailed halfway when the ferryman asked the king whether he was not afraid of the wild beasts on the other bank of the river. The king in surprise uttered, "What did you say? Wild beasts? Where? On the other side of the Ganga? Oh then, innocent man, you do not know what happened. I shall tell you what I did. Listen for a while. This shows that you have not been to the other bank of the river for the past 5 years, nor have you noticed the trafficking that has been going on all these 5 years on the waters of this mighty river. There is no wild forest on the other side of this river, and there are no wild beasts either. I was not like the other kings when I was ruling the country. Right from the moment I assumed kingship, the thought that I would be unceremoniously and mercilessly dispatched to my doom after my tenure of rulership haunted me. I felt I should find a way out. Though at first, this haunting thought of my doom rankled me and could have prevented me from enjoying the comforts of kingship, I mastered myself and, mustering the powers of my sagacious mind, with a gusto began to enjoy the comforts. I drew up a 5-year plan. I could, of course, not avert going to the other bank of Ganga after 5th year, but I felt I had the power in me to make a heaven out of hell. So I decided to make the forest on the other bank of the Ganga, which till now was a hell to all the other rulers, a heaven for me. So during the first year of my rule, I sent a platoon of hunters and ordered them to destroy all the wild animals in the forest on the other bank of the river. In the second year, I sent 2,000 woodcutters to fell the trees and clear the forest. In the third year, I sent worker masons, architects, and engineers there and made them build lovely palaces, develop pleasure gardens, beautiful parks, exquisite pleasure bowers, handsome swimming pools, and lovely stadia for me. And thus I made it a paradise of pleasures. In the fourth year, I selected trustworthy and loyal men from my court, appointed them as ministers, bade them go thither and plan how the country could be made beautiful, ruled righteously and well. In the fifth year, picking and choosing people who are good, virtuous, and loyal to me, I ordered them to migrate to Vyasa Kashi, for that is the name I have given the new city, conferring on them the ownership of the houses they now occupy. Now I am bound for that place to assume kingship of that city. O ferryman, look for yourself how grand my city is, for we are nearing it now. Just a glance that way. Do not you see my ministers in their best, with garlands in their hands, ready to welcome me? Do you not see the musicians, pipers, and symphonists with the musical appetences rendering a soulful song of ecstasy, welcoming me, their cherished lord? There will I rule permanently, unhampered by any of your pentagonal pestilences. I have mastered my fate. Am I not a man of destiny? If you want, you too can come and be my ferryman. The ferryman did see on the other bank of the river the mighty city of splendor and glory. He saw also the colorful gathering awaiting the king. A caparisoned elephant waited with its howdah, ready to receive the king. Thither did the king alight. In mute wonder did the ferryman gaze on and on at the glorious spectacle. From then on, the king spent his days in gay abandon, living his full span of life, ruling righteously and augustly the land of Vyasa Kashi. Pondering thoughts. The life that we lead in this world is this Kashi. We are the self-appointed rulers of our lives. But there is a tenor for our stay here. Not a second more than the time allotted to us will be allowed for us to live here. We lay waste our precious powers, thoughtlessly vegetating, earning, spending, breeding, and indulging in frivolous pleasures. Then, when the sad end comes, we blame our fate, our stars, nah, even our gods, not realizing that it is all of our own making. Instead, if we too, like the king of Vyasa Kashi, with foresight and farsightedness, strive on with determination, discrimination, and steadfastness, can chalk out for ourselves a charter of happiness and glorious era of eternal peace and unalloyed bliss. At the same time, we can face challenges of the interaction of the forces in a world limited by space, time, and causation. This inherent power in us to overcome our fate in Sanskrit is called Purushartha. Fate is undoubtedly the result of our past actions. By using this inherent power in us, we can lift ourselves to such heights where the effect of forces of the felt will not be felt by us.